Here you can see the numbers lined up for our next race. Set to begin momentarily. This will be the women's HBCU 5K and away and running. So similar tactics here, if you will, funneling down, but you can see only starting on the one side. So not quite as many bodies coming through here, but the full 5K distance for these women. And they will kick things off. Hayden, similar course layout, a little tougher. What would you say?
Yeah, definitely tougher with the 5,000-meter distance. It is a similar balance of strategy of whether you go out crazy fast, use this downhill to kind of feel good, get a little bit of a lead, and when you get into the woods. But that hill that we saw the middle school athletes finish on, which you can kind of see on the right side of your screen, that dirt path that they are running the opposite direction on right now. Very, very challenging hill, and you do have to deal with it twice, once in the middle of the race right after the mile. As you see the course tracker bottom left of your screen, that's the 2K, the number 2 that you see that they're running past the opposite direction. And there's that topographical map. So you see that big hill in the middle that I was talking about coming back up that, and then you finish up that same hill. So definitely have to manage your effort a little bit better over the 5K course than you do in the 2-mile.
Well, it is a good, hard, and compact. You see a lot of dirt roads on this course. Does that make it that much quicker? These hills a little bit more rolling, I suppose we can say. Not the straight up, but I mean, on balance, is this a quicker course, or do those hills kind of make it tough overall? The winding left and right serpentine nature as well. What would you say? Where would you put this course as far as easier or harder?
Well, I'm going to say the answer that most coaches would say and most athletes would roll their eyes at. It's a fair course, Trevor. It's a fair course. It's reasonably fast. You do get some quick times. He ran 16:22 here in high school, which was one of the fastest times in the country at that moment. But it's not a racetrack, and I think we're seeing, especially in American cross country, you're seeing kind of a transition to more of these racetrack type courses, these 1-mile gravel loop that is just dead flat with very wide turns. You see right now there are some winding moments in this course. There are some hills. You got to deal with a lot of different conditions. The footing's fantastic. I mean, that's something that you don't have to worry about at all. It kind of looks like the same. It's kind of the same course as Tallahassee, where they host USA Cross and will, I think, begin in January. So very fast. Don't have to worry about your footing. Can wear the most aggressive spikes you want. Don't have to worry about that at all. But you do have to deal with hills. They are somewhat gradual, but honestly, with these cross-country courses, the wide open aspect of it is what really gets to speed it up. As you see the athlete here doing a very good job taking the tangents, running the shortest possible distance, and trying to manage that effort.
We'll get a better shot of that distance back. You're running through the trees. We don't quite get that drone shot, but when we get into the open, we'll see how big that gap is. It's another unique aspect of cross-country where it's not always as apparent how big the gap is, but maybe 30, 40 meters at the moment. And the chase pack running tight together. So, as you said, Hayden, is this too much too early, getting aggressive on that downhill, or is it kind of trying to break the will of the rest of the field early on? That will remain to be seen. We should be getting our 2K split as we'll come through and keep you updated on where everybody is at and how big that gap is, in fact. But a little bit of a hill here. Now's the time to work it.
Yeah, I wonder if this is Davion DeLeon, the top athlete at NCAA&T, back at the Elon opener a few weeks ago. NCAA&T, one of the stronger HBCU programs, and this athlete is certainly the class of the field right now. As you said, though, hard to tell whether this is a little bit too aggressive early or if this is just the right pace for her. We'll get a better sense of that. She's going to take a turn here into the sunlight in a moment and have to go up a very large hill. And you see the chase path a lot closer to her than the big gap that we had in the middle school race. And as you said, time will tell whether she's managing her effort just right or whether the chase pack has some more legs. But we'll find out as she goes up that hill. That's going to be a really good indicator around that 2K split, not just at the gap between her and the chase pack, but just how she's able to maintain her mechanics, maintain her composure, so that she has enough to race that last 3K of the race.
Well, like we said, even on the middle schoolers, there's a different mentality being the hunter or the hunted, I suppose. And it's not on accident that she's out in front here. Let's put it that way. There's a strategy here, and the goal. And again, you can speak to the coaching side, Hayden, but when coach says, hey, get out there, get out in front, you might be all alone, but here's what you need to hit. Here's your landmarks, here's your time markers, and she's trying to keep that gap and doing so well so far.
Yeah, you're less likely to see mistakes on the women's side. I mean, in part because the women do usually race a shorter distance, 5,000 meters, where the men usually race 8,000. But you can think of, especially at the NCAA championships, when a woman goes out in front and really gets a gap like this, very, very rare she comes back. There are very few moments of that that come to mind. But in the men's race, you're much more likely to see somebody. I like to say the men are a lot dumber, which I feel like I can say that having been a male cross-country runner, but you run super aggressive for the first 2K perhaps, and there's a lot of guys back behind you that may have some legs. Women usually judge their effort a lot better and are much more mature racers, especially in the college ranks.
Well, and just the shorter distance, as you said as well, going over the 5,000 here, there's just less time for everything to play out, similar to a 5K versus a 10K on the track, of course. There's just less chapters in the book, if you will. So coming up this hill and working hard. But still a dominant run so far for our leader.
As she gets up this hill, we'll see in a moment, she's probably about 200 meters away from the blue mat that will give her that 2K split. And you see that chase pack. That's always concerning if you're a coach of that lead athlete, to see the chase pack all grouped up like that. That means somebody is sitting back in that chase pack feeling pretty good. Maybe one of the athletes up front is pushing it, but maybe they're all kind of sitting back, saving their energy, and maybe they have the energy. But the reverse can also be true, as they're kind of sitting on this hill, looking around, conserving their energy, maybe racing each other. This lead athlete here can really just throw the gas pedal down and not have to worry. And that is Davion De Leon of NCA&T, according to the splits here, coming through 2K at about 6:56.
So you can see the course there coming up about halfway, just past that 2K marker. De Leon, the Nebraska transfer, leading the A&T efforts this year, and a personal best, in fact, as you mentioned, being the top finisher for the Aggies in their previous event. 17:38 in that 5K, and really running the best that she has since about 2022. So she's certainly not out of the woods just yet. I suppose literally she's out of those woods, but not as far as that chase pack goes. But boy, how about a nice little drum line to motivate you a little bit? That's not something you see on the cross-country course every day.
And with spectators on the course too, looking lost out there. That's unfortunately sometimes what you have to deal with when you are the lead runner and you have kind of blown away everybody else. But that's pretty much the hardest part of the course. You see that course tracker on the bottom side of your screen. You see how she's cresting the hill. It's a warm-ish day. It's not crazy hot. It's about 70 degrees right now, so she's out in the sun. It's a lot easier back in the shade, back in the woods, where you're running more downhills, more twists and turns. This is a long hill, and one of the worst parts of that hill she just ran is you can see the whole thing from the bottom, and that really plays tricks on the psychology of these athletes, as they can visually see the challenge in front of them. Sometimes it's nicer and easier when it's a winding hill and you can't quite see the top. But, we did tell you that around 2K we would have a good idea of whether De Leon was setting a pace that she's just going to be able to continue running away with, or whether she's going to come back to that chase pack. But you can see the gap right now. That chase pack has slowed, and De Leon, I think, has sped up as she crested the hill and really got right back on the gas pedal. Kind of a flatter section right now, a little bit of downhill as she goes back into the woods. But this is a good opportunity for her to really lay the gas pedal down, open up this gap, and get out of sight of the chase pack for the remainder of the race. And if she can do that, similar to cycling racing, if you watch the Peloton versus the breakaway, if the breakaway can get out of sight, it is a huge psychological advantage over the chase pack.
De Leon in her first season in an Aggies jersey here already, with 3 cross-country races under her belt. As we said, a 5K personal best at the Adidas Cross Country Challenge a couple of weeks back, and with this conference championships coming up at the end of the month, this is really where you start to get into the running, would you say, as kind of the meat of the season, I suppose you could say, Hayden?
Dead on. This is mid-season, especially a race like this has conference implications. You're starting to race against a couple of folks that you'll see in your conference championships. And all of these schools, I guarantee the number one meet on their calendar, the one with the big red circle around, is that conference championship. So looking at the team battle at 2K, Fayetteville State, unsurprisingly, out in the lead. They have 3 of the women in that chase pack, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th right now. Or 4 and 5 are a little bit farther back, but Fayetteville State, they were the champs of the CIAA cross-country championships back in 2023. Maryland Eastern Shore isn't far behind in 2nd, but they are getting beat at every spot right now except for 5. That's something I always look at, is 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3. So the points tell part of the story, but where your athletes are relative to the other team also makes a big difference. And then NCA&T being helped by that low stick, De Leon up front, that big 1, which always helps the team score. They are currently in 3rd.
Pretty close running, though. Just 16 points or so separating those top 3 teams that you mentioned through that 2K as De Leon continues to work hard coming up this hill here. And that 1 leading off your top 5 always helps, but you need those follow-up runners to do their part as well. And the coaching side of it, what do they say, Hayden, on there? Go get 1. Go get the black jersey. Go get the red jersey. Go put a bullseye on the runner in front of you. It's all about placing here, as you can see, just over 11 minutes into this 5K course. A&T still has a chance, I would say. You're absolutely right. Fayetteville with some tight grouping. Fayetteville State that has been leading the way.
Yeah, that 4 and 5 for Fayetteville State, those are going to be the question marks. A&T, I think, has 1 locked up here as De Leon continues to extend away from everybody else in this HBCU 5,000 meter race. That 3-4-5, though, that's where the races are really determined, especially at a race like this. Your second runner, if they run 15 seconds faster, they might pass 1 person and pick up 1 point. Your 4th or 5th runner, though, if they run 15 seconds faster, they might pick up 5 or 6 points. It makes such a big difference. And I love smaller races like this, especially with teams that know each other well, that race against each other a lot, because you are racing basically 1 individual. What we used to do on my high school, smaller races like this, we raced the same team over and over again. This was back in the day we had printers. I don't know if they still have printers, but print out a photo of the person that you are supposed to be. If you're number 4 on our team, this is number 4 on their team. This is the person that you are racing against. So it becomes a lot more mano-a-mano, as I like to say. You're really targeting 1 athlete and focusing on beating that individual. Some athletes, or some teams do it like that. Some teams do it more as a team-oriented way of, hey, you 3 ladies, you 3 have been working out well together all season long. Maybe we keep the 3 of you together and try to pack up. And that way, when that pack passes 1 athlete, that's not just 1 point, that's 3 points as your team goes by.
Those swing points so important, and I think that's what Faith Caplimo and Videlma Jabet of Fayetteville State have kind of decided on. Let's say they're looking left and right rather than forward, if you will. The lead has just about doubled. It was 17 seconds or so for Avion De Leon of NCA&T, who we've seen as our leader here through the 2K mark, and now through that 3.2K split. Just a little while back, the lead has grown to 35 seconds or so, with Caplimo and Jabet running 2-3 and another 10-12 seconds back to their chasers. So it's team implications behind De Leon here, but as of now, it looks like nobody is going to catch our early and current leader, Davion De Leon of NCA&T. Took that downhill early on and has not relinquished this lead.
Yeah, De Leon getting into the back stages of this course, definitely not going back anytime soon. No surprises to see her out in front, and especially managing the course well. She's a senior. She ran for Nebraska previously. I believe she's getting her master's done at NCA&T. Has very solid track times and has gotten a little bit faster in every race this cross-country season. She's kind of run some different distances, a 4K, a 3K, a 5K, ran 17:38 at that Adidas XC challenge on this course. So she knows how to manage the race well, and there's a good chance she runs even faster today. We'll see. It's always a challenge. Sometimes it's helpful when you're able to run out by yourself because you're not impacted by anyone around you, and you can really set your own pace and not be influenced. But, of course, especially in this stage of the race, sometimes it's helpful to have somebody next to you to really bring out the best in you and force yourself to be at your best. It's a lot easier to maybe unconsciously tap the brakes for 10, 20 seconds when you're all by yourself up front. But De Leon continues to charge forward, and you see as we start getting a little bit more sunlight there, she's getting closer and closer to that turn that'll bring her up the hill towards the finish.
So Davion De Leon well in control, and making sure that we talk about her and her only on the leader side of things, on the individual side. That's one of the things we keep saying it, but with cross country, with so much goes on back in the pack that we kind of get a picture of during the splits that come through, but we really focus on these leaders as well. We should. But De Leon is making sure that we talk about her and her only, and the mental side as well. Hey, like as you said, sometimes when you have somebody next to you that is going to be running a similar pace that you want to beat, that's what you're focusing on, or somebody that you're looking at in front of you, but you are out there by yourself, and that's where De Leon is right now. You can see nobody in view, and the times don't always tell the whole story, different courses and things like that, but as you said, she's gotten quicker and quicker, and as we start to get into the meat of the season, as we said, the early races sometimes are the different distances. You kind of ease into the season, but now it's 5K, it's conference or bust.
Yeah, she's only a few hundred meters away from the finish line, and I think she will set a new PB. But let's look back at that team battle for a minute. We talked about pack running. Maryland Eastern Shore really has done a good job. Their 1, 2, 3 all moved up over the course of that last 1,200 meters or so. They are now in first place, 3 points above Fayetteville State, although that's going to be a very close battle, 3 points separating them. NC Central has also moved up. They are now beating NC A&T by 1 point. This is at the 3,200 meter split. Again, pack running. NC Central's 2, 3, 4, 5 all moved up in the middle of that race. Will be a very close battle between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as De Leon comes into the closing stages of this race.
Well, the dust from the Gator kicking up just a little bit here as you see the course tracker, the athletic course tracker, giving us that bird's eye view of where De Leon is finishing on this tough hill. Always an injection of adrenaline and a bit of pace here in that final stretch. And the wide view now, the drone shot all alone is De Leon of NC A&T. She is going to be our victor here, and she made no question about it. Took to the early lead and was never pressed. Keep an eye on that time. We'll see where she comes through, but she will definitely be the one to take the tape as De Leon comes through for NC A&T and gives them a single point. Keep an eye on that team battle, though. It is going to be very close.
Yeah, De Leon takes the tape, as you said. Now I anticipate 2 Fayetteville State athletes coming in second and third. They're going to really need that if they want to beat Maryland Eastern Shore. That's going to be a very close battle. There was one athlete just out of shot just behind De Leon as she came into the finish line. Not sure who it was. Faith Kiplino and Videlma Jabet of Fayetteville State were kind of doing battle together at 3,200 meters, crossed that intermediate split as one. Always interesting to see who comes across over the last 1,800 meters and who's the strongest there. And that's going to be Faith Kiplimo of Fayetteville State, who's going to be the second finisher and help get her team a 2 on the board. Getting that low stick. We'll see if it is her teammate Jadette. I think that is Jadette right behind her coming around the corner, getting 3. Maryland Eastern Shore's top finisher was in 5th at 3,200, but was right on a Virginia State athlete. That's going to be a big point in the team battle. Remember, first and second at 3,200 was between Maryland Eastern Shore and Fayetteville State, so look to see which jersey comes through first. And then third and fourth, that battle was only 4 points away from each other at 3,200. That was NC Central and NC A&T.
Kiplimo coming through for second, as you said, Jabet, both for Fayetteville State, both the first year for them competing for Fayetteville State, and already a dynamic duo forming there, as Maturi will come through for fourth. You start to see those tallies adding up here. De Leon setting up NC A&T well, but the grouping of Fayetteville State's Kiplimo and Jabet makes for an interesting prologue to this team accounting, which we'll get sorted out here shortly. Sometimes, Hayden, we even see the numbers kind of shift around a little bit. Now, it's not too much of a mad dash here or a cluster finish, I suppose, but all important 2 out of 5 you can see in the corner who is finishing all of the top 5 to come through.
Well, as you see in that top left, we have 3 Maryland Eastern Shore athletes in, just 2 from Fayetteville State. But those 2 from Fayetteville State, of course, were in front of all of Maryland Eastern Shore. NC Central with a pretty good pack, 3 athletes in, but they were not too far up. Their top finisher, I believe, was 6th place. They went 6, 7, and a little bit farther back. Now that's 4 through for NC Central and Maryland Eastern Shore. It's going to come down to that 5th runner, and Fayetteville State still missing 3, 4, 5. There's one from Fayetteville State, just missed her on the screen, so she's got 3 in.
So NC Central and UMES both waiting on that 5th runner. And it's those swing points. There's some sprint finishing happening there, as you can see, all the way through. This is part of the drama, though. This is why we love cross country. We love the battles up front, but when it all comes shaking out, the team battle all important as well. NC Central and UMES. Fayetteville State, strong top end, but may be giving up the rest of the team battle based on the 4th and 5th placers. But we're getting down to it now.
Yeah, we have 5 in from NC Central, 5 in from Maryland Eastern Shore, and is one of the most frustrating parts is you can't tally them. Even though you have all those numbers, you can't tally them until Fayetteville State and NCA&T come in, because those athletes are going to displace. But as it stands right now, NC Central with a huge move over the last 1,800 meters. They are currently up front, but as we said, we need to make sure that we have everybody in before those numbers are confirmed. But I think NC Central, with a massive move, they were back battling with NCA&T for 3rd at the 3,200 meter split, but perhaps just managed their effort a little bit better, moved up together as a pack, maybe opted for the conservative strategy. I think they upset Maryland Eastern Shore.
I think they will indeed. It will be close no matter what, even with top 4 teams that look to all have their top 5 in now, with NCA&T, Fayetteville State, UMES, and I believe it will be NC Central, but not by much as we see it now. Again, it will shake out, as we say, but 12 points separating those top 4 teams. So it'll end up being a little bit broader than that perhaps, and maybe not quite as low of a score, but even still very close between our top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, really good race, and I love when there's swings like that. And as announcers, we're always rooting for everybody, right? We want to see everybody be successful, but it's really fun to see kind of one team ahead, next team's pretty close behind, and ends up coming back over the last 1,800 meters, for example, and especially on this hill, really being tough over the last 400 meters of this course. You kind of get a gist of it right here as you see people in the final straightaway over that last 100 meters, but really it's that last 400, maybe even a little bit more than that, getting yourself in position and really being strong over the last stages of this race. I really like this course because it forces you to be strong so early. There's a lot of these cross-country races you can wait to the last 150 and kind of put on that blast final sprint, but if you're not strong from about 600 meters out, Wake Med is going to eat you alive, because that hill is so tough, especially in the sun. You've been in the shade, now it's a little bit hotter, you're already working hard, you're going uphill, you can't see the finish line, but you can see the top of the hill, and you're hoping the finish line's just right there, and you just have to be so mentally tough, as all these athletes were today, to get to that finish line before your competitors.
Well, as our finishers continue to trickle in, I think we can safely give the win here to NC Central as a team. And, of course, on the individual side, it is De Leon of NCA&T, followed by Kiplimo and Jabet of Fayetteville State. We'll get that all confirmed, catch our breath, and look forward towards the men's 8K race set to begin at 10 minutes past the hour, just about 5 minutes from now. Well, here's how we got there as Diavion DeLeon of NCA&T wasted no time. You see her on the right side of your screen there using that downhill to absolutely scream into the lead, and it was her and her only that we talked about out in front, but the team battle shaped up to be pretty interesting behind her.
NC Central started out with a much more conservative strategy, sitting back in the pack as DeLeon burst out in front. The team that got third at the MEAC Champs last year looking very good on the host of the MEAC Championships course this year. They'll race here again in that championships in a couple weeks, but they moved up over that back 1,800 of the course, really worked that very challenging hill, that 600-meter hill that leads into the finish line, and they end up beating Maryland Eastern Shore by 4 points and putting Fayetteville State in third. NCA&T, led by DeLeon, of course, finishes in fourth.
So as our final finishers come trickling in there from the 5K race for the women's HBCU race, we'll look ahead now to the men, the 8K for the HBCU in our final collegiate race.